So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, viewers and subscribers. Today I'm here to talk to you about the disappearance of my aluminum rake and my weed whacker. Now, as you may recall, that I brought to you a few days ago the bingo that they have going on called plyboard bingo. And so I don't want to come off as being petty, but I am going to introduce you to S1, S2, and S3, whom I will refer to collectively as the three musketeers. So as I told you in that video about the plywood, that S3 is my nephew, S2 is a distant cousin of mine, and I'm not related to S1. So this is how I met S1. My grandmother is buried at the home that is owned by S2. That was our old family plot. So on this particular day, I went to visit my grandmother's grave and to bring some flowers and just go and see it as I do from time to time when I'm in Jamaica. So when I was getting ready to leave, S1's car was in the front of the yard and they were getting ready to get in the car. So they said to me, Miss So-and-so, you need a ride? And I said, yeah, sure. So they offered me a ride. So then I came out of the vehicle down by the crossroad to where I was going. And after they left, all three of them left and they went about their business. And then somebody that saw me got out of the car, said to me, "Boy, Miss Spot, if you know who that person is, you wouldn't ride in that car again." So then that's where I started to learn about S1. Mark you, I was hearing some things before about S1, but I did not know him. Okay? So now I got the chance to meet him. So anyhow, that was the meetup. Now, a few days later, I saw my nephew and S1. So I saw S3 and S1 come to this building that I had leased with option to purchase because my plan was to do some business in Jamaica and I acquired this building. This building used to be the PC Bank in the area. So I was there cleaning it up and we were doing some work there and running electricity and so on when S3 and S1 came by. And they hung out for a while. And then later on, it was in the evening when all the workers, everybody had left and so on, that I was by myself down there. When S2 and, I'm sorry, not S2, S1 and S3 returned. And they were pitching me the sale of a vehicle. And so I inquired about the vehicle because, yes, I was toying with the idea of buying a vehicle. So then they gave me the particulars about the vehicle and the year and what have you. So I told them, based on what I was hearing, I told them no, I didn't want the vehicle to buy, but the excuse I gave them was the year was too old. It was too much of an old vehicle. Anyhow, S3 decided to let me know that I'm to buy it for him. So I told him no, I couldn't buy it for him because the funds that I have is to buy something for myself. I don't have enough to buy him a vehicle and buy myself a vehicle. Anyhow, that was that. A few days later, I was at the cherry field lot. This is where my house is being built. So I was over there and I was cutting the lawn. I was using a riding lawnmower to cut the lawn. And I looked up and there were S3 and S1. Anyway, I called to them, waved to them, and so on. But I'm there cutting my yard because it was late in the evening and I wanted to finish before dusk and to leave. But I noticed they weren't leaving, and so I sort of stopped the lawnmower and asked S3 what's going on and so on. And he said, "Oh, I come to talk to you." So when I found out what he wanted to talk to me about, it was again the same car business. They wanted to sell me a car. And I told them, no, I used up the money, make some other excuse. And I wasn't telling them right out my reason, but I just didn't want to buy any car from S1. It was S1 who knew this person that was selling the car. And by this, I've gotten a full book and receipt about him and about his activities. So, cut a long story short, I had shipped down a weed whacker, a pull and wheel. No, yes, I shipped down a pull and wheel whacker first from the States. And they were using it to cut both properties that I had down there. So after a few months, they called me up and they told me that the weed whacker wasn't working and there was problems with it. So by this time I was coming to Jamaica, so I brought another weed whacker. Okay? So when I brought the second weed whacker, I sold the first weed whacker to somebody in the district. So we used the second weed whacker and I left it out there and I came back to the States. Well, while I was in the States again, they called me up again that the weed whacker wasn't starting and what have you. So S3 is mechanically inclined. And as I told you before, S3, he does mechanic work and he's my nephew. And my brother was a mechanic before he passed away. So from he was a little child, he was hanging out with his dad and he took to this mechanic thing and so on. I tried to encourage him to go to the art school and do a course and all that. That is another story. He kind of took the stuff that I bought and he never go. But anyway, they said they're gonna take it to him to see if he can figure out how to start it and what have you. So he had it back and forth with it. Well, but over the months, there was problem with that weed whacker starting. And I think it's because, a lot of those individuals that were using it didn't know about weed whacker and so on and the maintenance that it needs and cleaning and all that. So they always have issue with it starting. So by this time I was getting ready to ship a container to Jamaica. So I decide, I'm not into fixing things. I'm going to put a new weed whacker in the container. Not only a weed whacker, I shipped 2 lawnmowers, a riding lawnmower, and I shipped one of the hand propelled lawnmower. Okay, so when I got down to Jamaica now, I had this new lawn weed whacker. So my nephew, he had the second weed whacker. So I said to him, okay, since you guys can't figure it out, how to start it, and so bring me the weed whacker. I'm gonna get somebody to look at it, or I'm gonna do it myself because I'm familiar with these weed whackers. I have them in Florida, and I used to weed whack my own yard and cut my yard and so on. So I have experience with these whackers. My nephew came with the weed whacker, and he had it there, and I tried to clean it up, put in new spark plug, throw out the old fuel, put in new one, put some of the treatment for gasoline in it and all that. But the Wacker still wasn't starting. So the Wacker, I just set the Wacker aside. I have never seen that weed whacker again. Okay? That was the end of my weed whacker. Okay. Now let's fast forward to the aluminum rake. In that container that I shipped a lot of items because it was that year that I started to build my house. And I shipped a 40-foot container down with everything from chain link fence to lawnmowers, to furniture, to appliances, to what have you, rakes, all the stuff that I would need, wheelbarrows, everything. And my nephew came and he was, complaining to me pretty much like that where he's doing mechanicing work because it's not his place when he gets a job or zinc, whatever. So when you're working, if rain is coming, you don't get wet. So he said yes. And he asked me for machete. Mark you, I cut the yard because I had the riding lawnmower I would use on the level part of the land. And then I'll use the push one to cut the sloping part of the land. And it's all cut and so on. And that day I gave him machete and I gave him my rake. And I said to him, well, we cut the yard. So just rake up the place and go cut some bamboo and everything. And he said, yes. To cut a long story short, I'm not going to go into the rake. But too long because I don't want you guys think I'm petty. But I brought that's not just an ordinary yard rake. That rake was about 2 feet wide, the rake itself, 2 feet. And it's for concrete. And I brought it so that when we do the floor, when we pour the floor for my house, that we'll have a long handle rake. That rake had very, very long handle to use it to smooth. So it was that kind of a rake. It wasn't a rake to rake leaves. But however, we were multi-purpose in the rake. We were using it to rake up the grass and shrubbery because the regular rake was too weak to pull all this stuff. When you're not at a place and you leave it's overgrown and so on. So we had cut it down and a lot of brush and all that was in it to be raked. Anyway, when I asked S3 for my rake, he said he leave it at his grandmother's house. And again, this went on for weeks. Oh, I forget it. Oh, I'm gonna get it. And then I don't see him. Till finally I went myself to his grandmother and asked for my rake. And the answer I got was, S3 has not brought any rake here. He didn't bring anything to my house. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to set the stage. And over I'm going to give you some scenarios. And these two individuals, well, the two individuals, S2, S3, they are going to be in it. So, I'm just setting the stage from what time I'm getting this kind of maltreatment and this kind of rip-off with these individuals who most of the money goes towards the individuals that's their place. They are the ones that own the shop and so on. So I have this building, like I said before, that I was trying to fix it up to do some business. So the building had a standalone garage. And the garage was, I think hurricane or so came and, it's been there a long time. It blew away most of the material. But the concrete pad that it sits on was there. It had a few of the columns still up. So I told S3, man, see, I bring you a toolbox here. And I bought him a nice toolbox. 99 pieces of equipment came in that box. And I brought it down for him. And I also bought some standalone pieces that were in the toolbox. I said to him, okay, what you need to do, take that little garage out there. You might have to go get some bamboo and shore up around it and put tarp on the top. Are my relatives. So if they are doing it, can you judge how they expect a stranger to act? So that was just the beginning of my experience with them. And it took me a while before I found out who they really were. Naturally, I cut off S1 immediately, but S2 and S3 were my relatives. And so I didn't get rid of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, the takeaway from this is keep an eye out, keep an open mind. Always take a look at both strangers and relatives to see who is up to no good, because you will start see the signs very early. And if you learn to recognize the signs that something is going to be bad down the road, you can nip it in the bud as soon as it starts. And it took several misfortunes. It was a long time before I decided to eventually get rid of people who abuse my kindness and my trust in them. So please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and at the end of the video you are going to see two pictures that I enclosed of the Cherryfield house. In one of my videos I thought that my lot at Cherryfield was used as a playground. I came across one of those pictures and I put it in this video. I also have the outhouse. It was the first building that I built on the lot in anticipation of the construction. So that's just a little bonus for you at the end. And from time to time, I think I'm going to do this. If I mention something in a video and I couldn't find a picture, when I do come across the picture, I will put it at the end like this. All right, guys, so stay tuned, and the next video I'm going to bring you is about my chain link fence. I shipped down 4 rolls of chain link when I ship my container, and I'm gonna give you the story about that. All right, thank you for watching the video.